Ever looked up at the night sky and, felt that sense of awe? It's easy to see the solar system as this, perfectly ordered thing, planets just waltzing around the sun.
Like a cosmic ballet.
Right. But the truth is, the solar system's beginnings were anything but peaceful.
Yeah, far from it.
So today, we're going to do a deep dive into, excerpts from Origins, the chaotic birth of our solar system. We're going to uncover just how wild of a ride it was to get our cosmic neighborhood to where it is now.
It's a story that really flips how we think of space. I mean, we imagine it as calm, unchanging.
Serene.
Yeah, but what we see now is just a snapshot. A little bit of peace billions of years after, some pretty mind-blowing stuff went down.
So let's rewind the clock. 4.6 billion years ago. Our solar system starts as this massive cloud of gas and dust. Astronomers call it a stellar nursery. But this nursery is about to get a pretty rude awakening.
You got it. Imagine this nearby star explodes, goes supernova. The shockwave from that just tears through space, slams into this cloud. Chaos, pure chaos.
So this shockwave, that's what kicks off the collapse, not just some gentle process.
Exactly. It's like a giant cosmic hand just squeezing the cloud, making it condense. And all that material in the center, it heats up, really heats up. Pressure builds and builds, and then boom.
Nuclear fusion. Our sun is born. A raging inferno.
It makes quite the entrance.
But what about the rest of the cloud? That's where the planets come in, right?
Right. All the leftover dust and gas, it's still swirling around from that initial shock. It flattens into a disk around the newborn sun. We call it the protoplanetary disk, and it's basically a planet construction site.
Okay, so we've got our sun, this disk of stuff swirling around it, but it's not all smooth and orderly, is it?
Not even close. Think more like a cosmic demolition derby. These early planets weren't just orbiting nicely, they were constantly running into each other, smashing, changing.
And that brings us to our own planet, Earth. I'm guessing its formation wasn't exactly peaceful.
No, not exactly. Picture this. Earth's still forming, right? And bam! This Mars-sized thing we call Theia just slams into it. It's a massive impact, reshaped the entire planet. Massive.
Whoa, Mars-sized. Wouldn't that have just completely shattered Earth? How did anything survive that?
That's how extreme things were back then. Instead of shattering, Theia and Earth merged, melded together, and all the debris from that collision blasted out into space, and eventually it came together, formed our moon.
So the moon's basically a love child of Earth and this rogue planet. Pretty dramatic origin story.
It really is, and it shows how these collisions weren't just destructive, they were fundamental, shaped the solar system as we know it. I mean, created whole celestial bodies, but the chaos doesn't stop there. We got to talk about Jupiter.
Jupiter, the big guy. I've heard about its turbulent youth. What did it do?
Forget the calm gas giant we see now. Early Jupiter, a force to be reckoned with, like a cosmic wrecking ball swinging its huge gravity around, flinging planets, flinging asteroids. It basically sculpted the early solar system.
So it wasn't just chilling out there, it was rearranging the whole solar system.
Exactly. And its impact was huge. Might have even stopped Mars from growing bigger, prevented it from grabbing more material.
Wow, a planet with that much influence. So Jupiter was kind of the bully of the early solar system.
That's one way to put it. Its gravity was the dominant force, affected everything around it.
But it was just following the laws of physics, right?
Yeah.
Gravity, it's a pretty strong force, especially when you're talking about something as big as Jupiter.
Oh, absolutely. It's not like Jupiter was out to get anyone. Just interacting with its surroundings, gravity does its thing. But yeah, those interactions, they had a ripple effect. The whole solar system felt it. Changed the orbits of planets, scattered asteroids everywhere.
So Jupiter was rearranging things, but not like it was trying to. Just a consequence of being so big, so much gravity.
Exactly. And here's where things get really interesting. Jupiter, with all this flinging things around, might have actually been the one that brought water to Earth. The stuff life needs.
Wait, hold on. The same planet that was tossing asteroids like, cosmic billiards, also delivered the stuff that made life possible on Earth.
It's kind of a paradox, right? On one hand, Jupiter's messing with the asteroid belt, but on the other, it might have been chucking water-rich asteroids toward us. Some of those could have hit Earth, and boom, there's our oceans.
So Jupiter is both a destroyer and a life bringer. What a legacy.
Right, and it shows how planetary systems, they don't just evolve in a straight line. It's all these forces, collisions, migrations, chance. They all mix together to get the final result.
Speaking of migrations, you said planets don't always stay where they formed. Did they actually, move around?
Absolutely. It's easy to think they just stay put, fixed in their orbits like marbles in a bowl or something. But in the early solar system, things were much more wild. Planets, especially those big gas giants, could migrate, change their position over millions of years.
So Jupiter and Saturn are cosmic bullies. They were on the move too. Where did they go?
Well, they weren't just wandering aimlessly. Their movements were driven by gravity, their own, and everything else around them in the protoplanetary disk. Basically, all those interactions pushed them outward, away from the sun.
Wow, whole planet shifting positions. That must mess things up pretty good. What kind of effect did that have?
A major event. Imagine Jupiter and Saturn moving out, their huge gravity sweeping through space. They scattered icy objects, flung them way out to the Kuiper Belt, where Pluto hangs out.
So the Kuiper Belt, that zone of icy stuff, that's just a bunch of objects Jupiter and Saturn kicked out.
Pretty much. It's like a cosmic junkyard out there, a reminder of how powerful those migrating planets were. And that's not all. They also messed with the asteroid belt, left it the jumbled mess we see today.
So the solar system we know now, with everything in its place, it's not just from collisions, but also these huge planet migrations. Things are always changing, even on a massive scale, over these huge time scales.
And, when you look at this chaotic past, there are some really mind-blowing facts. Like, think about this. Almost every single atom in your body, everything around us actually, came from dead stars.
Hold on. We're made of dead stars. How is that even possible?
Remember those stellar nurseries? The clouds of gas and dust? Well, they're formed from the leftovers of older stars, stars that have already lived and died. The carbon, oxygen, iron, everything we're made of, it was all created inside those stars.
It's incredible. So when we look at the stars, we're not just seeing these distant points of light. We're seeing the ingredients of our own existence, the remnants of these cosmic events billions of years ago. It makes you wonder, could there be life out there on other planets made from different stars?
It's a question a lot of scientists are trying to answer. I mean, if the building blocks for life are spread across the universe, the possibilities are pretty huge.
It really is mind-blowing. We're literally stardust, connected to these events from long before Earth even existed.
And that's not all. Let's talk about the asteroid belt, that big ring of debris between Mars and Jupiter. It's thought to be the leftovers of a planet that never quite made it. A failed planet.
A failed planet.
Yeah.
Like it was trying to form and something went wrong.
Yeah.
What happened?
You probably already guessed it. Jupiter. That huge gravity of his likely stopped the material in the asteroid belt from clumping together into a planet. Instead, it just stayed scattered, a cosmic junkyard forever orbiting the sun.
So Jupiter not only rearranged planets, it stopped a planet from forming. The power it had back then. You mentioned another fun fact, something about the moon shrinking. That doesn't sound right. What's going on there?
I know it sounds weird, right? Our moon, the one we see every night, it's actually getting smaller. And it's not like it's on a diet or anything. It's shrinking because of, well, tectonic activity. The moon's insides are cooling down, and when that happens, it contracts, makes the surface wrinkle up, kind of like a raisin.
So the moon's slowly shrinking as it cools.
Yeah.
It's slow, but it's happening. We've measured that it's shrunk by about 150 feet over the last few 100 million years.
It's amazing how much is going on, even in things like the moon that seems so unchanging. So we've got a shrinking moon, a failed planet, and we're all made of stardust. What's the takeaway from all this chaos? Why should we care about stuff that happened billions of years ago? It's easy to think, oh, that was billions of years ago, it doesn't matter now. But that's not really true, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, figuring out how our solar system formed, all the chaos and stuff, it's not just about being curious. It's about understanding the whole universe, how it works.
So like a blueprint, we learn about our own solar system, and then we can understand other star systems too.
Yeah, exactly. It gives us a way to look at those faraway stars and planets and make sense of them. Helps us figure out how planets form, what kind of planets form, even if there might be life on them.
Like cosmic detectives. Using clues from the past to understand the present, maybe even predict the future. Exactly. And think about it practically, studying those big collisions, like the one that formed our moon. That helps us understand what asteroids and comets could do, what dangers are out there.
So it's not just looking back, it's protecting ourselves.
Absolutely. If we know how things worked in the early solar system, we can get better at predicting where those dangerous objects are going, maybe even figure out how to stop them.
Kind of scary, but also pretty cool. We're not just sitting here watching. We can use this knowledge to actually keep our planet safe. Gives a whole new meaning to looking up at the stars, huh?
It really does. It's not just staring at pretty lights anymore. It's looking at our past, our present, and maybe even influencing our future. Makes you appreciate how lucky we are, how everything had to line up just right for Earth to exist, for us to be here.
We started this deep dive talking about a demolition derby in space, and that really stuck with me. Hard to picture that when you see how peaceful the night sky looks.
Yeah, it's a funny contrast, right? Every planet, every moon, even the empty space between them, it all came from these crazy, chaotic forces.
But out of that chaos came order, planets, and life. Destruction and creation, they go hand in hand, even on a universal scale.
And that leads to something Origins asks that I think is worth thinking about. If the solar system started with chaos, how do you think it'll end?
Oh, that makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Will it just slowly fade away? Or will it be some big, dramatic event, a final cosmic explosion?
Well, we can guess. We know the sun won't last forever. Like all stars, it'll run out of fuel eventually, and then things will change. What happens to the planets then? That story's still being written.
I guess the only thing we know for sure is that the universe will keep surprising us. Creating and destroying, that's just what it does. We're a tiny part of something huge, ancient, and constantly changing.
And that's the most amazing part. We come from chaos, and we continue on this journey, this cosmic dance.
So next time you look up at the night sky, remember it's not just stars and planets. It's a story, a history book on a massive scale, filled with, well, violence, lucky breaks, and eventually life. And that story is still going on, with new chapters being written all the time.
And who knows what we'll discover next? The universe is full of mysteries, and we've just started exploring.
And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the birth of our solar system. But like you said, the exploration continues. So keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep exploring the wonders of the universe. Thanks for joining us today.
It's been my pleasure. Until next time.